We're turning up the heat on today's episode, and I'm not talking about the temperature outside. It's time for the top 5 targets from the Calgary Flames. Let's get into it on today's episode.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. I am your host, Steele Rodin, flying solo for a Monday episode where we continue to break down the top 5 targets from every single team across the National Hockey League. We are into the top 15, and we're at the Calgary Flames, a team that should have made the playoffs. They had enough points, but they missed out by 1 game against the St. Louis Blues. Look, this team, we had some question marks last year, Flip and I did. We didn't know where to quite place them when it came to our projections, our predictions. Were they a bubble team? Were they not? How bad were they going to be? How good could they possibly be? I'm feeling a little bit more confident going into this next season because we saw what they were capable of. There was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of haters out there not buying into what this Flames team could do and what the ceiling is possible for them and what the potential is. I'm buying into them this season. They are a playoff team, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it on today's episode with the top 5 targets. Number 5 on the list. I really believe that you could go a few different ways here. There's multiple options to choose from. Matt Coronado, one of them. I thought he had a fantastic season last year. 24 goals, 23 assists, 25 penalty minutes. He shoots the puck a ton, 180 shots on net, still getting some power play time here and there. So I believe Matt Coronado is a viable option at this number 5 spot. I still think he is a draftable player, definitely a draftable player. His pre-rank on the season on Yahoo was 387. He finished the season 171st. So that could be an option for you at number 5. Again, you could also go with a guy like Rasmus Andersson. Definitely a draftable defenseman. One that I am seeking out myself. Preseason ranked 164th. Currently ranked, finished the season 129th. Had 31 points on the year, 60 penalty minutes. Kind of fills out those peripherals that you would want to see from a defenseman. 160 plus shots. 190 plus blocks. You would like to see a little bit more hits than 35, but it is what it is. Rasmus Andersson, Matt Coronado are very, very elite options for this Calgary Flames team. However, I went a different route. At number 5, I have Blake Coleman, and it's really for the fact of what he does peripherally, and he fills out all those categories: 15 goals, 24 assists, 36 penalty minutes. Get some shorthanded points as well. 194 shots, 176 hits, 66 blocks. Blake Coleman finished 5th on the Calgary Flames in points with 39. He also gets some penalty kill time. He had, I believe, 4 shorthanded points last year. He gets some power play time as well. Had 5 on the second unit. But for me, when it comes to Blake Coleman, he's an elite player in banger formats. He's a monster in the hit, shot, shorthanded points, plus minus, like I said, plays tough minutes against very good competition, yet still posts very solid scoring numbers. And again, if you're in a points-only format, Coleman is more of a depth pick. That's why I mentioned, that's why I wanted to throw out Matt Coronado and Rasmus Andersson, because if it's a points-only format, though, I'm going with those guys over Coleman. But if you're in a categories banger league, a head-to-head weekly league, he's absolute gold. He's a glue guy out there, helps you win across the board without needing to break the bank on draft day. So again, depends on the format, but for what we do on here for the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast and our fantasy leagues, we do categorical leagues. He is an absolute stud out there. He's a glue guy, like I said. So Blake Coleman for me, he comes in at number 5 over Coronado, even though I love what he does offensively and what his ceiling can be. Rasmus Andersson on the back, and I had to show some love to all 3 of those players. At the number 4 position, might be a little bit of a surprise. Maybe he's higher on some people's list, but I'm going with Jonathan Huberdeau. this is still a player who has elite passing and playmaking ability. I think, obviously with this last year, it was a clear bounce back season as well. 62 points in 81 games. The season prior to that, he had 52 points in 81 games. He's been very durable over the last 4 years, only missing really a handful of games in 4 seasons. Again, peripheral wise, you're not going to get a ton out of this guy. 150 shots, it's okay. 64 blocks, 50 hits. Again, it's okay. Not really his game style. It's the playmaking and the goal scoring touch. He actually went up though from he did actually double his goal scoring from the year prior. In the span of 2 seasons, he had 27 goals. Last year, he had 28 goals and then a total of 62 points. So when it comes to a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau, he's still one of the NHL's best east to west playmakers. He thrives on the half wall. In many leagues, Huberdeau goes later than his name value should allow. So there's an excellent upside pick to this guy. He's paired on the top line in Kadri, in Sharangovich, in Coleman, who I just mentioned, Coronado as well. The assists can keep coming, especially on the power play where he had over 25 power play points this last season. And even though his goal scoring did take a dip 2 years ago, he actually is shooting at an 18.1 shooting percentage right now. That's what he did this last season. I'm going to say it's going to go back down closer to a 12 or a 13. I think you're going to see him move the puck a lot more, which we have seen him do a lot in the past. I'm not saying he's going to go back out and hit a career high 85 assists, but 40 to 50 assists. This guy still has 70 plus point potential on his resume as his ceiling. So when you look at a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau, who can still bring the best out of his players and his line mates, there's a lot of great options. Huberdeau, he's assist heavy, power play heavy. 60 to 70 points is where I would have him at. Again, he's a medium high tier 3 type of draft pick. I would most likely, draft him somewhere in the 8th or 9th round. You could probably even get him later. I'm also looking at what the preseason rank was for him, also where he finished at the end of the regular season. His preseason rank was 234th. He was barely a draftable player going into the draft. He ended up finishing the season 78th in the league. So you got to take it with a grain of salt with this guy. Again, this Flames team is not the best offensive weapon. They're not the best defensive team as well. They're sort of right there in the middle. That's where I'm placing Jonathan Huberdeau on this list. He comes in at number 4. I would draft him somewhere in that 8th, 9th, potentially even 10th round if he gets down that far. Anything later than that, an absolute steal out there, because this top line of the Calgary Flames with Huberdeau, with Kadri, with Connor Zary, or Matt Coronado, whoever it is, it's still an elite top line in the Western Conference and the National Hockey League. We're going to talk about why Nazem Kadri is one of the best centermen in the league as well. Had a phenomenal season. But first, this episode is also brought to you by Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates faster? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need the right hire. Like yesterday, the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback. That's exactly when Indeed's sponsored job comes in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, and leave a 5-star review. Gotta show some love to everybody out there. Thank you so much for helping us get to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. That has been our goal for the last few months now. It's really great to see all the support from our listeners out there, the dialogue, the banter, the communication on the YouTube channel, on X as well, on Instagram. We appreciate you. We love you out there. So I had to give a shout out once again. Let's get back to the top 5 targets of the Calgary Flames. Number 3 on this list. It's the Wolfmeister. It's the lone wolf, Dustin Wolf in the blue paint, an absolute stud back there. And I put him ahead of Jonathan Huberdeau for a reason, because to me, he is the clear-cut number 1 goaltender in the Calgary Flames locker room. So had an incredible season, 29, 16, and 8 on the year, a 9-10 save percentage. A 9-10 save percentage, which puts him in the top 10 for goaltenders last year. 2.64 goals against average, top 15. He sees a lot of puck as well. He faced over 1,500 shots last season, which put him in the top 14 as well. He saved a bunch of them as well, which put him in the top 15 once again. So when you look at what he did and where he's been throughout his entire professional hockey career, not just with the Flames, you got to look at the Calgary Wranglers, you got to look at the Stockton Heat, Everett Silvertips as well. Wherever he has gone, he has had major success. So in his first full season as the Calgary Flames number 1 goaltender, 9-10 save percentage, 2.64 goals against average, 29, 16, and 8. He had 3 shutouts on the season. I think this guy continues to get better and better as the year goes on. He was also in that conversation for the Calder Trophy, 5th in rookie goalie wins league-wide. He is considered one of the top goalie prospects of the last 3 years. Now firmly, like I said, Calgary's number 1 starter. Extremely quick laterally, very composed under pressure, very strong technical style. Again, when it comes to the draft itself, many casual managers will overlook him due to Calgary's non-contender status. Again, they missed the playoffs, but they were also a playoff team at the same time. Like Montreal made it into the playoffs. They had 91 points. Calgary had 96 and missed it. So the Western Conference was tough. They're going to overlook Dustin Wolf because of that. And also because the defense in Calgary is not one of the most elite. Again, like I said, he was top 10 in shots on net. He could see a high shot volume, which could be prone to poor defensive stretches as well. I'm not buying into that. I'm buying into Dustin Wolf himself because he was an absolute stud last year. I think this Calgary team is going to surprise a lot of managers, a lot of hockey fans out there. I put Dustin Wolf at the number 3 position, and I think he can really hit a ceiling even higher. Obviously, when it comes to keeper leagues, he's probably going to be one of those guys that is kept, as well as, again, just going into goalie formats. 55 plus starts to me is the floor for this guy. I think he can get up to 60, maybe 62. Maybe he falls into that 0G strategy that we've talked about numerous times on this podcast. The Apple and Gino guys as well, who started this all pretty much, the 0G strategy. He might fall into that, but I could see him going even higher. He actually finished 96th in the league, I believe, at the end of the regular season. Really good year. 95th, where his preseason rank was 110th. I believe he should be going somewhere in the 7th to 8th round. I'm not a huge fan at taking goalies too early in the draft. Not anymore anyways. I've kind of reshaped my structure and my process of my draft board, but I still think Dustin Wolf, somewhere, again, where Huberdeau is, 7th, 8th, 9th round is where I would be looking to draft a guy like Dustin Wolf. He is a clear-cut number 1 guy in Calgary. So that finishes that right there. He comes in at number 3. Number 2 on the list, it pains me to do it because I think he should be number 1. I would have him number 1. And I talked about him so much. He was one of those unsung heroes on my fantasy hockey team in my keeper league that actually won this past year. Mackenzie Weegar, to me, is an absolute stud. And that's why I put him in that same conversation as guys like Moritz Seider, Rasmus Dahlin, Zach Werenski as well. Guys who just fill out all those peripheral categories and just really get the job done all the time. So you can never really miss out on Mackenzie Weegar. 31, soon to be 32 years old. Had a really good season once again. Followed up a 52-point year 2 seasons ago with a 47-point season as well. You know, obviously his 20-goal season, we knew that was going to fall back down to earth. He's never been a double-digit goal scorer. That was a career high for him. He went from 20 back down to 8. I think that's where we should see him. Somewhere between 8 to 12 goals is where I would project him to be at, but still finishing in the realm of 47 to 55 points, plus 18 on it as well. But it's really those peripheral categories I was talking about of why I love this player so much. 223 blocks. 200. I'm pulling it up right here. 223 hits, 192 blocks, 184 shots on net. When you look at what he does as well, just all over the ice, he's just a trustworthy guy. Preseason ranked 56th in the league. He finished 43rd. You're getting tons of value for this guy. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head where Mackenzie Weegar's ADP was, but I know it was a lot lower than that 5th round. That's where I would be taking him. Fifth round is exactly where I would be going, and I'm jumping all over a guy like Mackenzie Weegar. I still think when you look at this team and all those talking points I've already mentioned for Jonathan Huberdeau, Matt Coronado, Dustin Wolf, Mackenzie Weegar to me is the best defenseman. And that's why he was in my top 5 when we did top 10 defensemen, a few months ago. He's an all-around fantasy beast. Like I said, scores, blocks, hits, shoots. He's the perfect league defenseman for category formats. Also, he had that career-high 20-goal ceiling. It's not going to happen again. I'm putting him back down there in the 8 to 12 goal scoring, but still finishing somewhere, projecting him to finish somewhere between 47, 55 points. He quarterbacks the power play. Even if he doesn't lead the power play unit, his even strength scoring remains elite. He's also on the penalty kill, so you're getting a lot of value 5-on-5 and on special teams. And even though he's still not a household name in a lot of fantasy circles, often very underdrafted for what he provides. So I like this guy a lot. You know how I feel about Mackenzie Weegar and what he brings to the table, especially for banger leagues, for categorical formats. I've talked about it enough. When we come back after the break, Nazem Kadri leads the way for the Calgary Flames, but maybe he's not there for long. A lot of rumors swirling. We'd love to see him back in blue and white in Toronto. It's been too long. He's matured. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it after this break. But first, this episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends or getting sunburned on the beach. I've been using FanDuel for quite some time now to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it refreshing with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can just bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue. Once again, hit that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review, share with your friends and family out there. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Number 1 on the list for the Calgary Flames top 5 targets going into the season, it's Nazem the Dream. We knew it was going to be him. Nazem Kadri comes in at number 1 after having a very elite season with the Calgary Flames, leading them with 67 points, leading them with 35 goals in 82 games. What else can you say about this guy? He really does it all as well. One of the best centermen in the league. You might want to throw him into that top 10 centerman fantasy hockey conversation. Even his floor is elite. So when you look at Kadri's game, he's matured tremendously over the time, especially when he ended up leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs or getting traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs. His time in Colorado, his time in Calgary, it's really matured his game. He plays in all situations. He remains productive even when Calgary struggles. Like I said, 67 points, led them with 35 goals. He is the centerpiece of the top unit and thrives off net front and bumper slot scoring chances. Power play, he's an elite juggernaut out there as well. Contributes throughout all categories. Hits, shots, penalty minutes, not so much actually. When you look at his game this past year, penalty minutes is up, but hits is down. Still somewhere around 55, 57 hits, but that has to do with his level of maturity now. He's not trying to go out and hurt people. He's not trying to run people through the plexiglass. He's out there playing smart. He's out there playing with his line mates and doing what he can to have this team succeed right now. So the hits have gone down. It's helped his offensive game. It's helped his maturity. Still putting up over 250 plus shots, which he's done now for 4 consecutive years. Shooting percentage of 12.5. You love to see that as well. Power play I already talked about. 9 power play goals, 13 power play assists. I think there's even a higher ceiling of that, getting somewhere closer to 26, 27, maybe 30 on the high end. But again, really good seasons over the last 3 years. Hasn't missed a game in 3 seasons as well. So very durable. When you look at Nazem Kadri, again, just one of the best centermen in the league. I think 70 plus points is where you could potentially see him. He is a juggernaut in all formats, head-to-head, category points. The time on ice, the hits, the face-offs, the power play points are the key categories of strengths. Obviously, the 30-plus goals is phenomenal as well. That might drop off back down closer to 30, maybe 27 around there, but I'm still projecting him over 70-plus points for this next year. Again, maybe he's not even in Calgary when the season starts. We'll have to wait and see when that happens, if it happens. Top 5 targets for the Calgary Flames. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, I actually wanted to go back to a point with Blake Coleman and why I also had him on as the number 5 guy. It kind of comes first full circle with this episode. He has not dual eligibility, but triple eligibility, center, left wing, and right wing on Yahoo. That's also why he gets into that top 5 spot. You also have some dual eligibility with Huberdeau, dual eligibility with a guy like Sharon Govich, who could also get into that honorable mention as well. But once again, the top 5, Blake Coleman, Jonathan Huberdeau, Dustin Wolf, Mackenzie Weegar, and our boy Nazem the Dream Kadri. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL Podcast, because there is no offseason. They bring you the daily league-wide stories that matter the most with local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Hope everyone out there is enjoying their summer. Good luck with all your summer bets, and we shall see you back here again tomorrow. Peace.